Yeah, I bet
I'm just
Wizards
really
just gonna
sorry,
unban
guys.
them.
I did recently see, I think it's like a joke set though, like the old Chaos Confetti and shit. But it's all cards are to be interpreted as literally as possible, ignoring all errata.
That sounds like utter chaos.
It's like one of the cards is like, when blank happens, card name can choose to blah blah blah. It's like, oh well, literally the card
You have
has
to
to pick.
ask the
So now
card.
we're
Yeah.
infiniting out, and I have to get a judge to call delay a game on my card.
Absurd.
Yeah, I could only be a joke card, but I love it so much.
All right. Why did I open my notes in my other window that doesn't have all of my important stuff? There we go. All right. I'm going to make a quick errata myself. Uh, I didn't really think about it, and I wrote the NPC Bev's dad before I had your character names. So his previous name was Ralden. We have a Ralmir. Fuck that. His name is now Borden.
Borden. Okay.
Borden. So if anybody had that in your notes, um, erase that from your character's memory. The name you got was Borden Barrows.
I don't remember if we ever had his name. I don't think we ever learned it.
We never
It
asked.
it was mentioned
Oh,
to you by Danica last session.
Okay.
That
I got
when he
that's right.
staggered in,
So
he managed to get his name out. But yes, they'll spell it for you like that. Uh, there we go. That's why my roll 20 looked weird. It was zoomed odd. All right, back to where you all are. Uh, yes. Sorry about the delay there. We good to get started?
Yeah,
all set.
I'm good.
Okay. And as far as what you guys were talking about kind of earlier, you can let that hook happen whenever. Just stop and say, "Hey, we need to talk."
I figure
Um,
we'll bring
Probably
whatever
after this
business to its
conversation.
natural conclusion, and then yeah.
Yeah. Um, so last session, we had picked up as you all had just entered the actual village of Valaki. It's your first sort of actual town here in Barovia, and I think you were all happy to see a nice solid wall between you and the spooky stuff outside. The people here seem nervous and perhaps a little bit xenophobic, but given that you were all able to kind of ingratiate yourself to the people you talked to, so far everyone's been relatively pleasant, actually, the ones you've stopped and had a conversation with. You did some trading with Gunther Arasek, the owner of the local stockyard and seemingly general store, and seemed to actually kind of make friends with him. Ralmir made a trade in his own favor, but still, it seemed like it was given because you made the point of talking to him and being friendly rather than just demanding a good deal. Uh, there were also leads there on some fancy inks you might be able to make spell scrolls out of, as well as some damaged half plate. A number of things that might be useful to you there in future, but it's all quite expensive for now, given the lightness of your coin purses. Um, you also made your way to the Blue Water Inn. You met the Martikov family, Danica and Erwin, and being the female barkeep and her chef husband, as well as Brom and Bray, their young sons. That also was a fairly pleasant conversation, and Danica was able to explain a couple things to you guys about the local political climate. Uh, you had asked about Lady Wachter and offered to, take her outside the city and kill her, but that didn't seem like such a good idea.
For a discount, not even
For
hard
discount, that
cash.
was at Arasek actually. Now that I think about it, not at the Blue Water, but regardless, that is an important name, seemingly. Danica actually told you about the Burgomaster here, Lord Valakovich. Um, seems like he's the one that's responsible for all this insanity about the festivals being mandatory and how coated in old decorations the town is. Um, she didn't seem too fond of him either. Liked him more when he was younger, she said, before he was so uptight about everything, which all seemed to start shortly after his father died. Um, as for the Blue Water Inn, which is a nice, fairly well lit, fairly well maintained little place where you seem to now have rooms for the evening. After catching something you guys had said about Bev and her dad, Danica decided to wink, wink, nudge, nudge, show you to your rooms and led you upstairs to a small bedroom where you found, well, her father, Borden Barrows, who seemed to have been badly wounded but is still alive. Um, he confirmed your suspicions that Bev had been dragged off towards Ravenloft Castle and begged you to save her. We will come back into the game with Danica sort of sadly looking over this scene from the hallway, as I believe Ervir was at his bedside trying to make sense of his injuries. As he kind of grabs onto your sleeve, Ervir, and, again asks you, please, whatever you do, you have to rescue her. He kind of lets out kind of a long breath and seems to fall back into unconsciousness.
Oh no, not a dramatic. What were you gonna say?
No, he wasn't in the middle of a sentence. He just, please, please, seeing you here, get her back for me.
No, okay, I thought it was like, or. Ugh.
No, no, no. And again, he seems pretty banged up. He's got an arm that's in a splint. He's got a number of like fairly deep wounds.
I'm pretty sure I succeeded a medicine check that
You
said
did.
this man's been fucking bit.
Yes, that is correct. I see it here. 16 medicine. Yes, you found indications of a vampire bite. Go ahead and make me a religion or arcana roll as well, everybody who is in the room.
Which is everybody.
We
Yeah,
pack
no,
in here.
nobody backed out or anything.
Danica's
That
wait
is.
at the doorway, I
Oh.
guess.
Yeah, Danica's kind of like leaning against the door frame, just looking in from the outside. Oh, Ervir.
Did that roll? Did it not hear
It did. It rolled a 3, I'm afraid, a natural 1 plus 2. Truly, the religion DC was very high, but Narlug hit the Arcana DC.
Look at
Narlug, you watched this guy in the inn for a little while, and he seemed to pass out fairly often, just like falling asleep in the middle of tasks. Here, uh, you see the same thing. He's hurt, but there's no reason that he should have just immediately fallen asleep, especially in the middle of like a high energy moment. And you catch just a little bit of a whiff of magic as he falls asleep, and you kind of hone in on that. You are fairly certain this man has been cursed. Uh, and in fact, your
curse,
best
such a
guess,
lovely fellow.
a lingering curse of sleep, meaning that he suffers from extreme narcolepsy.
If only I was familiar with the ways of curse removal.
Same.
Knowing that it's there is the first step.
Yeah, you say it was a 5th level spell called Identify.
Mm-hmm. That's true. But also to continue with your medicine check as well, Ervir, you can tell, similar to like when you kind of got a good look um, at oh my god, Ismark. Sorry, my brain kept going Irina, Irina, Irina. That's not it. When you got a good look at Ismark, you could tell he was a former soldier. This guy, like, he's just like a tavern keeper, but he's built like an adventurer. And you can tell, like, as you're checking him over from lingering scars and old injuries and whatnot, he's probably retired, but this man, once upon a time, was probably quite, shall we say, widely traveled and quite good with a sword. He has key indications of like long-standing calluses, and like you can tell the muscle build of somebody who is of the martial persuasion. Fairly well hidden under his kind of like lazy, commoner clothes, very billowy, very kind of casual, and again colorful, like Bev.
Didn't you say he had like kind of some gaudy jewelry or something too? Or
Yes.
like it's not
So
commoner jewelry.
I think he's Is he not under one of you? He's not.
No.
Sorry. I can get you his token. But yes, he definitely. There we go. Why is that? Is that on the token layer? You can see that or no?
I don't see shit.
When you
No.
highlighted it, no.
Welcome
Oh, there
over
you go.
here. I can't see nothing.
Layer. Token layer. Oh, because it's outside of the. Hang on. There's a wall there. That's why. The highlight is Control Shift Z.
Yeah, Z.
There we go.
Is-
Yes, he is very bejeweled. Big earrings that he still is wearing that actually appear to be platinum. And he has all sorts of like little cuffs in his hair, like on little dreads and whatnot that are gold, as well as wearing several rings, some of which might strike you as being magical,
Looks
just
very
due to
young to
the
be
high
retired.
craftsmanship. Hmm Yes, he does.
Probably because he sleeps all day.
Said like these rings are like magical.
One of them in particular looks to be extremely fancily made, like super fine gold work and a big stone set in the top. And not a drop of dirt on it.
Unlike my clothes.
Yeah, you all probably need a bath. Is that a word that orcs know? I don't mean to profile.
We just get rain baths.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if he could. I'm just gonna ask him if he could tell me more about the really like well kept ring in his hair. Then I'll just do a persuasion check.
I think he's
Sure.
asleep.
He is, but that doesn't mean you can't wake him.
True.
You know,
Alright,
just kind of, I
okay.
assume you'd be gentle. But he's, like I said, he's wounded, but like this is more like somebody who's now on bed rest after treatment. He's not going to break if you like kind of gently shake his shoulder. And you wanted to know about the ring and
Yeah.
all of the bangles and stuff? Sure. I think he'd kind of groggily come back around and kind of, oh, I'm sorry about that. My strength fails me often these days, even before any kind of gestures with his good hand at all of the signs of recent injury. What were you asking? Any kind of, you repeat yourself. Oh, yes, well, a number of these remnants of a past life, I suppose you could say. Trinkets and baubles that I collected all across Faerun, actually, before I settled down and had Bev. Was a bit of a traveler, I suppose you could say. Uh, I'd like to think people still might remember my name, depending on where you ask, but, well, nothing quite so history book worthy, I suppose. And the ring, well, a gift from my ex-wife, actually. Uh, he kind of looks down at it and he fidgets with it, and as he does, you can see that it kind of pulses softly. Narlug, lingering with your Arcana check there, you recognize this one. This is a very wizardy item. This is a ring of spell storing.
Ooh.
And though he won't call it by that name, he would say to you, Relmir, well, still carries a little bit of a arcane remnant of her. Call me sentimental, but I haven't been able to bring myself to discharge it. And he just kind of sighs and looks down. Sorry for my panicked state. I think you can probably understand. Father wants his children to prosper, and yet, despite what should have been my skills, I let her be taken. And, well, as soon as I'm able to get out of this damnable bed, he says, looking down at his arm again and just kind of, ugh, I'll go do something about it myself. but I'd be glad to have you all with me.
And we will definitely need a capable warrior such as yourself, because that dude packs a punch.
Wasn't
I,
so bad.
Yeah.
I take it you've
So
met. Go
does he
ahead.
know about like how like what the ring actually does, or
It seems that the way that he phrased it was he knows that his ex-wife, as he put it, cast a spell into it, and he hasn't been willing to spend it yet. He keeps it as a memento. He knows there's a spell in there, but can't bring himself to use it.
Hopefully it's a badass spell like Wish or some shit.
Wouldn't that be too easy?
I wish she loved me again.
Damn, got her right.
Oof. It's actually really BM. Speaking of items that store wishes, early on in Wild Beyond the Witchlight, we found a luck blade, which has between 1 and 3 wishes in the handle. They're stored in diamonds, but the one we found had all the wishes burned out of it, so it's just a +1
Oh
smith
no.
guard. Big sad. Um, but yeah, um, as he just said, he intends to go rescue Bev, which implies he believes her to still be alive, not like she was torn into pieces and then dragged away. Um, but yeah, at your mention of it wasn't so bad, Ervir. I take it you met the master of the castle as well then.
Much to our displeasure.
Uh, Presented himself as a kind enough fellow, but the moment we disagreed, that mask seemed to drop.
Like a child throwing a tantrum as soon as he didn't get his way for us as well.
He nods. I've met a fair few of those in my day. Local ruler who's used to everybody kowtowing to them. Shakes his head. Can't say I've met any that are vampires, though. And he just kind of lets out a sort of soft chuckle. Did you want to try to heal him? You get the feeling that it might help, but you're not going to blow past his lower HP cap or anything, but you might be able to close some of those
Okay,
little
yeah, I thought
short
I had
healing
asked about
patches.
that.
Yeah, I
As
was bringing it up. He does seem to have been
Villager, by the way.
condrained from the bite, which is why I mentioned it
Yeah.
as a curse effect. Um, there's also the other curse, but that's not going to keep him from being functional intermittently. Um, but
yeah,
yeah,
if, I assume the medicine check just means like there's not really anything else you can do there. So it would just be
well,
magically.
even a successful medicine check, you have to have the healer feat in order to use a healer's kit to heal hit points.
Oh,
Otherwise, it just allows you to
identify?
basically
Auto stabilize
stabilize
without rolling.
people. Yeah.
all right. I'm gonna need someone to knock him unconscious so I get max dice.
Nope.
Okay.
No problem.
But I actually
Ah,
do
Side of hand, to kind of just like give him like a quick,
that. No chop.
I was more
like
thinking like the Vulcan neck pinch,
yeah, like I figure like a side of hand check would be good for that.
Are you actually going to knock him out?
No,
I don't know if you know that about Irvir, but Irvir's saying that to him.
no, I'm not going to say I need him to be on death's door so I get the maximum benefit from my healing due to my class feature.
You do know, like I said, he has a lowered max HP right now.
Yeah. Just because we leveled up, I was like, wait, pretty sure we didn't rest yet, so the levels won't apply, so I can cast whatever the fuck heals I want, and then we'll rest later and I'll be all good.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
You could just, we're just going to kind of treat it as this has been a short rest. Normally you'd level up on a long rest, just be level 3. Don't worry about it. And if you want to burn your spell but not burn it, I don't give a fuck. This is an RP seat. It's
Yeah.
okay. Do you want to heal him?
I'm gonna cure my wounds.
Okay. So with a prayer to Kelimvor that he not be taken this day, I assume. Yeah. And as you kind
Hey,
of,
that's pretty good.
that is actually a very good roll. As you place your hands on him, kind of over, the worst of the wounds, Kind of like lets out a little wince as everything kind of knits back together. It's been slowly, naturally healing, so it's not like the most, instantaneous effect. But you see that the worst of like the scratches and claw marks and whatnot close. And there's a bit of a crunch as his arm that is set in the sling like aligns properly, and oh, that's going to suck in the morning. But I can move my wrist properly, so that's a good start. Thank you.
Look a lot less than it would have.
And he would nod his head. From the doorway, you see anybody who's like even vaguely paying attention, like seems very impressed at that. Like there's definitely like raising of eyebrows and a kind of like,
I guess
mm,
it would be Danica and Irina.
yeah,
And Irina's supposed to
Danica.
see me do it already.
Yeah, no, Irina knows. But yeah, I think Danica was not aware that you were necessarily a divine spellcaster. But
No. Yeah, you're right.
yeah, there's like a contemplating look on her face where she's like, this guy could be useful, perhaps. But yes, Borden, I suppose realizes you haven't been formally introduced. Um, I know you all. Or what? I see Frank has his headset off. Oh, wait,
Needs a second pair. First one died.
right.
Rookie move. I'm playing Colonial all day for 24 hours.
But yes, I realized that while I served you all dinner, I had not made a proper introduction. Borden Barrows, and he would offer a hand to everybody.
Did he serve us dinner?
He did. He and Bev fed you. He cooked you dinner. She served you dinner.
Darlug will graciously shake the hand of someone that fed him.
You don't remember that, Mike?
I just remember the drinks. I didn't remember if we actually ate. I thought this was
Yeah,
like the
she
first
she
real
brought
meal we
around
got.
like a super basic roadside stew. It's like whatever they had going over the fire. But he baked bread and everything. Um, anyway, uh, I have to ask, how did you all find your ways here? I didn't see you when we stumbled out of the fog.
Kind of showed up.
Presumably the same way as everyone else. We just were outside at the time.
Hmm.
You were
He
gone when
thinks
we came back inside the inn as we tried to escape the mist. For all of the good that did us.
maybe that explains why we didn't all land in the same place. Or rather, at the same time? I don't I don't know. We found ourselves kind of in the mountains, or rather on the edge of them, and we had a choice between following the road down to, admittedly, what looked like a rather run-down little village, or up towards the local castle. Foolishly, I thought perhaps we might find more skilled help there. We headed towards what I now know to be a Ravenloft first. Which to you all sounds like they popped up on the opposite side of Barovia Village from you.
Mm. Okay.
It is interesting from where we stood when we showed up. I don't think there was any path going back. We only had one direction to travel. And that was straight
Hmm.
through the village of Barovia.
Uh, Interesting. Well, it's not like there was a path back through the mist. It was more just like we stumbled out of it and then we were at the edge of the tree line in the woods, right alongside the road.
A road that went two directions, right?
Yes, but mm, oh, so you're saying that the mist like had fully cut off the road behind you?
Yes.
I see. Yes, no, the road did go in two directions. Hmm. I don't know if that's meaningful. You can see him
Hard
kind
to
of
say.
puzzling on it,
I
but
didn't
he
think any
shrugs.
of us had done anything to slight the Vistani ourselves, I assumed that would be you guys included, considering Bev seemed friendly enough with everyone. But
He shrugs. No
could be a
slight that I was
coincidence.
aware of. Um, I'll
Then again,
admit.
why are we even here? So who knows?
Hmm,
It's all guesswork.
indeed. Yes, they paid. We served them food. I'll admit I was a little bit surprised. They had their own wine, kind of out of character for a visitor to a tavern, but we don't exactly charge for that. People are free to bring in whatever food or drink they want. We just offer a quiet place for people to rest. Uh, well, on that topic, now that I'm not in, well, perpetual agony and it's sort of fallen back down to a good old post-scrap dull roar, if you don't mind, I think I could use a rest. But are you staying here at the Blue Water? Danica's taken wonderful care of me so far. Um, I would love to learn a bit more about all of you and perhaps make some plans to deal with this. And he starts to say Strahd, but he
Asked
catches
word.
himself Devil, as the locals insist he be called.
I believe we'll be staying for at least the night, and or we would probably look at the party to confirm.
Yep.
Yeah, you do have a room secured. Well, 2 rooms technically. Um, right. Well, perhaps tonight after supper then. Um, just give me a little bit of time to get my wits back about myself. Um, but yes, thank you again for your assistance. And for being a familiar face, however briefly we had previously met. I've been feeling rather out of my depth here.
In a land such as this, it's those small comforts that can mean the world.
Spoken
However,
like a true
bow
adventurer.
and exit.
Yeah. And yeah, as you all kind of pooch out of the room, Danica would close and lock it again. Um, she's not like keeping him hostage or anything, but she doesn't want anyone to know he was here, seemingly. She's been very cagey about all this. Um, and yeah, she would just, oh, silly me, wrong stairway. Uh, it's been a busy day. And if you want, we'll lead you to, she's given you, can you see my ping there? I don't know if it's been revealed
Yeah.
or not, but
Yes.
yeah, that room and then the other room so that Irina can have some privacy as well.
Wait, is that balcony go across where the
No, it doesn't. You have to go down the stairs and then back up the other stairs in the main floor. But you don't have to. That's like from outside. You don't have to go there now. Because, as Irina would make a point, just kind of as you're all filing back downstairs, I don't want to press the issue, but there's a small amount of time left before the sun goes down. I don't know if you wish to investigate the Church of St. Andral, or if we'd rather go there in the morning. Either way is fine with me, to be perfectly honest. I think here within town we're probably likely safe, and the devil, she says, rolling her eyes, you know her opinion of him. Well, he hasn't been seen in Valaki in 100 years.
think it's wise to make the most of our time.
Yes, this church definitely is seems important to Irvir, and I want to check it out myself.
It could be important, but also
There
we
might
were
be someone that
warned.
could heal curses there too.
We were
That's true.
also warned that it may not be everything we hoped or were told it might be. I forget the
Yeah.
exact wording.
Yes.
Bribe your boys.
It may not be as hollow or something
Yes.
like that. I don't know if that was me paraphrasing, but that was the gist of it. Maybe
Madam
not.
Eva had something to say about that, yes,
Yeah.
which is that it may not be as much of a holy place as they believe it to be.
Yeah, and she had recommended checking out the Abbey of St. Markovia instead. But
Yes.
we should check it out.
But yeah, so we are back over to the overview. You are aware that the Church of St. Andrew is on the west side of town, given that you had kind of looked at one of the local maps. If that's where you'd like to head, that's no problem. It's a short walk over there. I mean, you can see the scale of this map. It's maybe 5 minutes to get there. As the afternoon is kind of waning away, you wind your way through the streets, and people seem to be kind of filtering back home. Things are thinning out, there's less people out and about, and there seem to be more guards now that it's getting dusk. It's not dark yet, but it's, getting there. More smells of people cooking, sort of general misty gloom as the evening kind of carries on a bit. It is not, like I said, foggy in town, but as you catch glimpses of the wall, again, the mist and the fog sort of almost hit that palisade and then just kind of create like a near impenetrable barrier to sight. Um, Outside and inside seem very distinct here, but there is kind of a light sprinkling of rain going on, as seems to be kind of a theme here in Barovia. The weather is kind of crappy all the time. Um, you notice that Irina would be walking with her hood up still, and kind of that lower scarf section, not pulled up, but like up to her chin to hide her neck. Um, she doesn't seem to
Narlug's
make
embracing the rain shower.
right? Gotta get clean. Get out your bar of soap.
Yeah. Hit the armpits. That's where the most smell comes from.
But yeah, she doesn't seem to make like direct eye contact with anybody. Maybe she is technically nobility, given that she is from a noble family in a much smaller town. Maybe doesn't want the attention. Um,
She does seem to know everybody.
she does. At least as far as the local artisans and tavern keep go. But yeah, you wind your way down the main drag, and you find yourselves in front of the church. Let me grab the actual blurb. I'm sorry. Um, this slouching, centuries-old stone church has a bulging steeple, walls lined with cracked stained glass windows depicting pious saints. A fence of wrought iron encloses a garden of gravestones next to the church, and here a thin mist creeps amongst the graves. You can clearly see that this church is like the other one you've been to, dedicated to the Morning Lord. Um, in the churchyard, you'd see there are a couple like younger kids, maybe like 10, that seem to be helping a like older teen, like particularly brawny kid, who is like kneeling down and is actively weeding and cleaning up a number of the graves. And like he'll occasionally like rip a handful of weeds and throw it at one of the younger kids who they're playing and like throw it back or whatever. What they're really doing is helping him move the mess out of the way. Um, as you are walking up though, and night is falling, you find there are people streaming in now, kind of up behind you as well. Not night is falling, dusk is setting in. And people are heading in as though there may be nightly prayers here as well, not just at dawn. Um, Standing at the doorway is a man in obvious priestly garb, sort of a long black robe, with a large silver sun holy symbol, obviously displayed around his neck. Um, and just hearing people like, nod and give their greetings, you catch the name Father Lucian Petrovich. Good evening, Father Petrovich. Good evening, Father Lucian, all of that. But yeah, you find yourself out front of the gates. Um, and actually, I think you would catch Irina before you walk in with her hands clasped together, muttering a little prayer, actually.
Over, what are the rituals here that we should be aware of? I'm not used to these fancy Lord of Morning churches.
To be honest, either am I. But
Notice most humans
know.
just look down and hold their hands together.
All right.
Side
Well,
eye from
it
Irina.
in, it-
Kind of like what she's doing. I didn't take her for a religious woman, but
why don't we just politely let most of them filter in, and then we won't hold anybody up.
Um,
And then
she would.
we'll stay quiet and mind our manners.
I'll take your lead.
And he mostly looks at Narlook.
Oof. But yeah, so the plan is to just kind of let the people file in, and then you'll take a pew in the back.
Yeah, pretty much. Probably still greet the father, assuming because he's not gonna walk in until he sees that there's no one else coming.
Fair enough.
presumably.
Yes, that is correct. Um, so he seems to take the time to greet every single person that comes in. It seems like, this is a town probably of a couple hundred, but there's maybe 15 to 20 people that kind of filter in, and then at the last minute, a few more, like 4 or 5 stragglers. Um, and that takes maybe 15 minutes or so. And just as the sun, which starts to set much earlier than true sunset given the mountains to the west and the fog, just as it's starting to touch the top of the mountains, he kind of glances around and offers you all kind of a questioning look. And after a beat, please do come in. I can sense trepidation, but I promise you that the Morning Lord welcomes all who are willing to listen.
Orville will nod with a smile, and maybe it's sort of like quarter bow, like lower the shoulders a little bit, but
Mhm.
not being like overly polite.
Sure.
Thank you, Father. It'd be my pleasure.
And you see him clock like you're also in fairly religious garb, though you present a different holy symbol.
Yeah. Uh,
But
the tabard would definitely have the symbol, the scales, and then
mhm.
the very obvious holy symbol, like his. Although it's probably not as big, it sounds like his is very
Yeah, he has like a
large.
large, like silver
Yeah, this
medallion
is
that
more
is a
like an
sunburst.
amulet pendant sort of
Mhm.
style.
Yeah,
And then if the shield wasn't a dead ass giveaway with the exact same fucking symbol on
right.
it. So by all measure, he's very easy to clock as a holy man.
Yeah. Um, and he would return your little slight bow. And there's a knowing look on his face, maybe like a half smile, but he's not gonna make a deal of it right now. As you and Irina are kind of all climbing the steps, he would just simply ask, weapons are not uh, disallowed within this fine establishment, but please do keep them in their scabbards. Um, what can I say? I don't think the Morning Lord would look kindly upon any violence inflicted in this place. Um, and then he would
Holy
just
ground is
gesture,
no place for such barbarous acts.
a educated man, I see. Um, and yeah, would sort of, gesture you in. I'm afraid I don't have a map for here. But this is a small, well kept, if well
How does he
worn
react to
as
our
well,
less than
church.
human party members?
You see, he definitely notices, does not comment, keeps nothing but the same, like, sort of pleasant smile and earnest demeanor. He did say the Morning Lord welcomes all. Um, but as he, lets you go before him, he would call out into the churchyard, Milivoy, it is time for services. And the teen would kind of grumble and get up and dust his hands off on the front of his shirt, smearing mud everywhere, and him and the little kids would kind of scuttle into the church as well. And that is, and also Father.
Oh, I want that spelling so bad.
Lucian.
Lucian
Uh,
Petrovich.
yes. But yes, like I said, the room is well worn, but also tell cleaned daily. Thing is as spotless as it can be, given the years and years pews and the actual carpet that runs the length of the aisle. In the altar, you, as you're standing to find a seated pews, appears to have obvious wear lines, as though where he stands and he grips the side of kind of the lectern, he's literally rubbed the extra smooth where his hands rest. And sure enough, as he strides up the center aisle and takes his place behind the podium, almost as if it's a subconscious thing he repeats every time, his hands fit exactly into those grooves. And he looks out over the gathered congregation and offers a small, sad smile. Perhaps half of the pews are full. I once again thank you in the Morning Lord's name for coming this night. These are trying times, and together in faith, we will find strength. And he takes his hands back, folds them in front of himself, just not in prayer, but kind of to center himself. Takes a deep breath, and you can see everybody around takes a similar posture. Just deep, slow breath in, deep, slow breath out. And as he finishes his exhale, we release our worries, we release our stress. We hand it all to the Morning Lord, for he is the one that guides our path. And he will begin a sermon. I'm not going to go through the whole thing in roleplay, I'm sorry. Lasts about half an hour. He clearly is a man of staunch faith. He speaks to how one's day-to-day fears, one's day-to-day concerns may be answered with prayer, that belief is a way to recenter ourselves and remind ourselves that while our experience of the world may not be perfect, that there is a divine plan, that things will work out as they're supposed to, which I assume would resonate with Ervir's belief that beliefs around death. It happens when it happens, doesn't have to be bad. Just because it may seem so, it is just a transition.
It's scary, but Bone Daddy is there to help guide you get there.
Correct. And a recurring sort of motif throughout is that just like day and night, life has good times and life has difficult times, and that it's important to remember that each night is followed by the dawn. And there is a section where he transitions to what seems to be like kind of an older version of the local common dialect. Think about kind of like switching to Latin for some of the prayers. It's difficult for you all to pick up all of it, but this lasts just a few moments, and everybody does mumble or speak softly along this section. Seems to be some sort of group prayer to the Morning Lord for protection. Um, and he concludes the service, actually, um, with something that is very similar to what we all would know of as communion. As far as actual D&D faith goes, is kind of unusual. But the community would line up in the central aisle, and he would actually produce from behind the lectern. There is a section of sunflowers, like several cut sunflower heads, um, and presumably because they are a natural representation of the sun, um, he actually will draw a little starburst on each person's forehead with his thumb and place a sunflower petal on their tongue with the same uh, thumb that he draws the mark. And he moves down the line to each person. And you see he sort of, after he does so, will lean in and offer a few words of each person.
While they're lining up, Murphy will whisper and ask Irina if it would be proper for us to join that or if we should abstain.
Um, she would think on it for a moment. It is an old tradition. I will be honest, it's one that Father Donovich does not observe anymore, though, as you saw, our church is, even before the damage, far more ramshackle and disused than this. Um, I myself am not going to partake, not because I don't necessarily think it's proper for an outsider, but because I belong to a different church. If you think it improper, perhaps sit it out and speak to him about it afterward. I have no doubt he'd offer you a private blessing if you feel like you need one.
Someone who's been worshiping the Morning Lord her entire life isn't getting up for it just because she happens to worship at a different building.
You get the implication that it's a different subsect. They follow slightly different rules.
Like Lutheran
they
and
got
Christianity.
They got Protestant Morning Lord.
Yeah, dude.
Oh,
Yarlug's curious what a sunflower tastes like, so he's gonna hop in line.
Okay. Oh, I like that.
Irving won't stop him.
Um,
I just like shrug. Irving will not join him though. He
That's
will
fair.
remain seated.
Yagobachi will lean over to Yerva. He's like, we have a similar tradition in Milan, but we don't use daisy heads, and that's different.
Is
but-
it blood?
Well, it's a severed hand of whatever we've hunted, but there's blood involved. I'll abstain.
Fair enough.
I had a feeling.
Rolmir?
I'm just gonna sit back.
Okay. I will say, while Father Lucian did not bat an eye at you, you are a fiend in a church. And while you have not bursted into flames, a few of the people, as they come back down the aisle and note, do take like an extra step further from your pew as
Okay.
they pass.
So, what I'm gonna do is I do have, I forget like what exactly it is though. I do have a holy symbol though.
Yes. Of the Raven
So,
Queen, correct?
yeah.
A fucking
believe
goat head.
so.
Yeah, inverted pentagram. Um, she has a couple different emblems, so it's up to you to choose which connected to. But you wearing that prominently.
Yeah, just to show that like I have some form of religion.
Fair enough.
They also said, depending on what you want to get out of that it didn't seem like people knew Faerun deities
Right.
besides Danica.
Danica had a vague idea of the Raven Queen at the very least, I think, and I think had a very, very vague knowledge of Lathander, but that was about it. Was not familiar with Kalimvor, if I recall, but was interested to
No.
learn more.
I think Helen Voren, she maybe knew Malar, or
She did
Yakubachi
know
taught her
Malar.
about Malar.
You're correct. Yes, I'm sorry. She knew Malar. But yeah, if you're going to wear that, I think that would these are scared medieval peasants, and they're not scared
Oh,
of you, they're just scared. However, I think rather than open hostility, that might not hostility, open fear, that might still just change to a polite nod and still the subconscious step away, rather than just like an obvious look of fear, if that makes sense.
Okay.
But if you're
Like
swinging
the-
that thing around now, Irvia is clocked that you've got a symbol of the Raven Queen.
He talked about it before.
I don't remember if I was part of that conversation.
Fair. But yeah, again, I don't mean to single you out. I'm just saying this is how the people would behave. And same thing, Narlook in the
You
back of
sign
the
up for
line.
when you play
You
Tiefling.
get some slightly unusual looks, but other than perhaps just the fact that you're really tall, I don't. You get some like people
Dude, huge, you
looking
got
up and
tossed.
actually seeing your face and be like, oh,
How's the weather up there?
polite little nod and skirt around you. But slowly you move up the line, and as you step up to actually be directly in front of Father Lucian, he would offer you a soft smile. Um, and if you don't mind, could you perhaps bend your knees a little bit? You are quite tall. As he
Sure,
reaches
Narlog
up.
will get down to one knee for him.
Sure.
Make it easy.
And he will draw the little symbol on your forehead, and he will take a sunflower petal and place it on your tongue. And yeah, tastes fresh and kind of planty with the very, very vague hint of that sunflower oil that makes seeds have that distinct taste. Um,
Narlog smack
and
his lips a little bit.
and he would first press his forehead to yours, just like the other, and then would put his hands together in prayer, um, and say, "I offer my thanks to the Morning Lord that you have brought another sheep to my flock. Um, Here, I do believe that you will find answers to the questions that you may have and a proper path to follow in life. I thank you for taking this first step." And he will just put a hand out on your shoulder and offer you like a light squeeze and a smile, and kind of step back,
Okay.
offering you a slight bow of the head.
Narlog will give a little bow to the head back.
Mhm.
Thank you for the tasty plant, and go back to his party.
And you would notice he would not even fully be able to like stop the chuckle at that. Just uh just kind of shake his head quietly. Most people will file out of the church. There are probably two or three that are still sitting back in the pews and offering, personal private prayers silently. Um, but mostly the room has quieted down and emptied out. Um, and you can see he would just spot that you're all kind of still sitting there and offer a curious look.
Oh,
He's still up at the front, but like,
Yeah.
I'll just nudge Irvia, be like, I don't know. What is this guy? Do you want to talk to him?
I suppose I shall.
Came here with questions. I think we should get some answered.
Yeah, and Irina
Narlog's
looks
got a burning
pensive,
question.
but we'll nod and we'll stand and join the rest of it.
Irvia will rise and approach. Apologies, Father. I wasn't sure of the etiquette on whether it was proper or not for me to join the procession for a blessing,
He
being
nods.
from outside the mist.
I thought you must all be. 'Tis no offense meant, plain upon some of your faces. Um,
It's very obvious there aren't many like all of us here.
he
His
nods.
eyes very obviously darting to the non-serving party members.
um, he nods. Indeed. Though I find peace in the belief that if you were not meant to be here, you would not be. Um, for future services, if you wish to join us, there would be no offense taken. Um, I would not wish to conflict with your own beliefs, of course, he says, looking at your holy symbol very pointedly, but the smile never wavers.
While my devotion to my Lord will be of the highest and utmost, I don't think there are any issues within the Faerunian pantheon with giving thanks to deities who aid. What are the words I want to use? Let's give their blessing.
Hmm. And he would nod. And you see a little quirk of an eyebrow at the mention of Faerunian. Well, I suppose that answers where you've come from beyond the mists, or from where you've come beyond the mists. Um, and he would just shake his head a little bit sadly. I offer my condolences that you found yourselves in Barovia. It is not the most pleasant of places, but you will find comfort and sanctuary here. Insight, please, from everybody. As there is a twitch of one of his eyebrows as he says that. Oh, if only it were the crit. Ervir and Ralmir, you see that he is obviously nervous about something. Ervir, you pick up that he is lying about something as he says that.
It was
You will find comfort and sanctuary here.
that's pretty much why he's here, so he's gonna immediately jump up.
Mhm.
Can you elaborate on the sanctuary a bit for us?
And what would he see on your face as you ask that question?
Probably a bit of a raised eyebrow with
A knowing look, or are you trying to hide that?
I don't think it would be like aha, I caught you, but like look, cards on the table, I need to know.
Okay. Uh, he would.
And maybe adds another holy man. I guess he doesn't know I'm a divine spellcaster, but like I don't know.
Well, he's
Maybe
about
there
to
could.
find out.
Okay.
You could see he puts his hands together, not quite in the same prayer pose. And there's a slight alternating of fingers. You see him cast Detect Good.
Ah,
Now,
you motherfuckers!
that produces some interesting results. But importantly, he would detect a light.
He would detect what? You broke
Your
up.
alignment.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, and despite some quick glances around the group with a raised eyebrow, he would settle back on you.
I think at the unsettled eyebrows, and Irvir
Uh
probably
huh.
also has a pretty good vibe. Like
Uh huh.
everything's good so far.
Uh huh.
I,
Uh
they're all
huh.
right. They're with me.
Narlock's technically neutral good, you know. He's a
Yes.
Oh, if he is, then yeah, you're all good.
Um, but he would kind of, if you'll excuse me for a moment, this is a matter of faith. You say to the rest of the group, and would pull you aside, or
Oh, special.
um, and you would see they'd step off into one of these sort of little side vestibules. And here, uh, there is a representation of um, a obvious saint, the golden halo of light behind the head. It is a young woman in flowing blue robes who is raising a scepter aloft that bears the sunburst of the Morning Lord at the tip. Um, and you would notice that at the bottom it does say, like in kind of a flowing scroll with text, Saint Andrel, the namesake of our church, a blessed figure in Barovian history. There would be plenty of time to tell of her good deeds and good works, but perhaps on another night, as you see, and he looks ashamed of this. Her remains were interred here, and for generations they have offered protection in this place, a holy boon that caused the entire church to be hallowed ground. But, well, they were stolen. I don't know by who, I don't know why, but 3 nights passed. It must have been when it
Recent.
happened. I returned the following morning to prepare for services, and I found that the floorboards above the crypt had been prized up. And to my horror, I found the sarcophagus empty.
Only a blasphemous act to rob a crypt, especially of a
Mhm.
saint's remains.
Indeed. And while I fear for the black mark upon the soul who took them, I admit, in my mortal weakness, I fear more for my congregation. You understand why I asked this be a quiet conversation. I can't have the populace know that the protection that has been here for so long no longer lingers. Their faith is not as, well, as certain. I see
Sir,
it in their eyes. Their fear, it lingers. I trust fully that the Morning Lord guides us on the right path, and that regardless of whether or not St. Andrew's remains reside here, I know that the right thing must and will happen. But they are comforted in the knowledge that she is close. And this lie, it has been wearing heavily upon me. If there's anything I could promise you in return for your help in recovering them, they must still be in the city somewhere. I would be forever in your debt, and I have no doubt that the Morning Lord would shine brightly upon such an act.
Perhaps you were on to something during your sermon. Or, no, it wasn't the sermon when he spoke to us after.
Mhm.
When you had mentioned that we were here for a reason. As it so
Mhm.
happens, it sounds like our goals align extremely similarly. As since you were generous enough to be forthcoming and straightforward with me, I will be the same to you. Uh, the devil has his sights set on one of our companions,
Mm.
and so we left the village of Barovia to find somewhere where she might be safe. This was one of those locations. So,
Mm. I
I
see.
don't even think I need to ask, but if we find the remains and restore them to their proper location, would you be willing to grant her sanctuary here?
Absolutely. Um, my doors and the Morning Lord's doors are open to all who are in, and especially if it is protection from the devil himself, I would be more than happy to offer it. You have my word.
I don't know too much about how he operates, but I'm afraid that no matter where she goes, there will probably be some amount of danger that follows her. So I'm loath to just try to hide her out among less than divine fortifications.
He nods. His ways are mysterious. Sadly, despite how much I may pray for an insight into his wicked machinations, they remain obscured from my sight. But I do know that regardless of St. Andrew's presence here, this is a holy place nonetheless. And creatures of the night not only fear Valaki's walls, but never once in my entire life, nor the life of the priest who preceded me, have they succeeded in breaching these walls. Um, and despite, well, the strength of this hallowed ground being weakened, I have no doubt that they still fear to tread here. at least for now.
They may not know. I don't know if they can sense it or not, but once they find out, they'll probably do it out of spite.
He nods. I would agree with that assessment. But the hope must be that none comes close enough to find out.
With our Lord's blessing. With that said, going to need help from my friends back there. So, with your permission, I'd like to fill them in on what we've discussed.
Yes, if you feel they can be trusted, but I must ask that you not let any of the, well, residents of Valaki know.
They've been extremely keen in regards to finding things. I don't think I would be able to do it without them.
Mhm. Well, in that case, I will trust your judgment as a fellow man of the cloth.
I will do our best to keep our efforts and cause to whisper so that none may ever become the wiser. But with that said, do you have any leads? You said that it's probably still within the city walls.
I would think so. Few here would venture far beyond Valaki. We are a simple people, and travelers are few and far between. Uh, the I don't know. I can't think of a logical perpetrator. There's no reason. He shakes his head. There are only a few that know where the bones are stored, or the floorboards were prized in a very specific location. Uh,
Who would know
the
then?
great families of the town, I suppose. That being the Wachters and the Valikoviches. Uh, I suppose anybody on the church grounds that has been instrumental in repairs or maintenance over the years. You might want to ask Milivoy if anybody knows anything. Well, I suppose you could say my right-hand man in that regard. I'm often busy tending to the people of Valaki, and he assists me in making sure that the church stays presentable. But yes, the Burgomaster and Lady Wachter, they are both aware, as a, I suppose, failsafe in the event that I were ever to be struck down unexpectedly. Their lines would be responsible for selecting a new head of the church.
Who do you think they would select?
I'm not certain, though. I hate to say it, but I fear Lady Wachter would be vain enough to suggest herself. She proclaims, at least, to be a particularly pious sort, though to my ears her proclamations of faith often sound thin.
Been in the
The
city for all of a few hours, and I already know that she's far from devout. At least to the Morning Lord.
hmm. He nods with a little bit of a grimace. And Lord Valakovich, he shrugs. His recent obsession with festivals and with giving praise to the Morning Lord at every turn also to me feels a bit of a show. But his sons are devoted enough. I fear he might choose one of them who would speak not to the Morning Lord's wishes, but to his father.
3 solid leads.
I'm
Although it sounds like getting to 2 of those will be a nightmare.
Well, I think you'll find that both would be quite interested to speak with you.
Oh, I'm
They
sure.
seem to attempt to collect anyone from beyond the mist. See it as a bit of a novelty. But I should not speak ill of those not present. And he, offers a quick little bowed head and a muttered prayer, seemingly for forgiveness.
Kinder than I, certainly.
And he would gesture for everybody to join you if you're ready for that, or pull you off into a one-on-one and make the other three just sit there. But the initial confession he was only willing to make to you.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, because I still want to have the powwow,
Hmm.
but then it's like, oh man, I feel like I should probably get people in here for questioning too. So I was kind of caught on where I should go. Um, you know what? Fuck it. Yeah, let's just bring everybody in now. It makes sense to do the questioning while we're all here.
Sure.
And Irvir will make introductions politely as much as he can, and
Sure.
pretty much fill everybody in on the situation thus
I
far,
was going to say,
and reiterate everything that the two
yes.
had just spoken about. So everyone is on the same page now.
There you go. I was just going to say he would make sure everybody was caught up as well, so he'll help fill in any gaps.
Specifically, Yakobachi and Romir, you both have expressed great skill in finding things. In different ways, I'll add.
Mhm.
Yeah, Yakubatsu will definitely say he's always excited to be presented with another hunt, and if he could see the scene of the what do they call it when you like I guess the desecration, the scene of the desecration, and if he could see it and get a better look at it, maybe there'd be something there to help us. That's his only suggestion.
Sure.
Suggestion.
If you are willing to wait a short last of the other the bones are buried right beneath where I was speaking with your companion. Or they were, I should say. The floorboards have been replaced so that none would know, but beneath, the sarcophagus still lies open. And I could not bring myself to close it again until the bones had been brought back safely. And on that note, perhaps I ought to help them along. And he will briefly bow out of the conversation to go see to the last two or three people that are still quietly praying. And, over the next few minutes, you'd notice he sits, takes a moment with each of them, and seems very patient. It's not like he's rushing anybody out, but he does seem to actually care. Sits and listens quietly and advice to each of them in turn. And while you might not want to pry up the floorboards, you all take a look at least above, where they've been kind of replaced. Go ahead and give me whatever perception, investigation, survival, if you're trying to track, whatever you'd like to do.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to hand Raumir my magnifying glass, and I'll be like, I can't use this while I execute my investigation, and I'm going to wild shape into some type of hound dog and try to smell as best I can to get a good stench
Interesting.
on what these dead bones smell like. Cause
wait, did you say you're giving me the magnifying
yeah,
glass?
just take it, because I'm not going to, I mean, you're going to look around. Maybe you'll find some fingerprints or something, but I ain't going to have fingers in a couple seconds, so.
Just help with the investigation checks then.
I don't know. I think it does something.
I think it's a flavor thing, but
okay.
yeah.
Do them both with guidance.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna become a dog. I'm gonna smell.
Okay. So go ahead and give me, I believe then that's survival, with the additional D4 for guidance. And you, go ahead.
I'm gonna tap over by like with my foot like over by like the floorboard, so to kind of do like an investigation and see if they were like.
Okay. Try to see what you could find of maybe how they were pried up and that sort of thing. God, you
Add
you
one
really
D4 to
do
that,
like
Frank.
rolling the twins, and add a d4, yeah.
Oh, add a d4.
Yeah, from guidance.
Four.
Oh, damn.
Hell yeah. 22 and 28. Big
28
baller.
is very high.
These boys out here investigating.
I want to get a good smell
God,
They
of
could
those dead
smell the
body.
crime before it happens.
I was gonna say that 28 is so high. I feel like I was just give you the.
Here's the answer.
I kind of feel like that'll be what happens, but it's not. They're not present, so when you meet them, you will know. But Ralmir, we'll start with you because you're looking at the exterior while Ayakobachi is smelling what happened here. But you're kind of like looking for where the floorboards were loose and all of that. That is a very good investigation check. You spot it's very clear where some sort of broad bladed maybe implement was used to pry up the floorboards. Not a crowbar, something several inches wide, like maybe several's even underselling it, like maybe 8 inches wide was stuck into the gap here and used to like pry them up. The nails are not quite aligned. Floorboards are a little chipped on the edge.
How wide is a spade?
Uh, well, something like that.
Is it about 8 inches?
Mhm. And it strikes you that this a bit of strength behind it. It doesn't look like they had to wedge it in and then try a couple times. Like it was chunk, thump, and popped up. And these are like hammered in with several nails and heavy wood planks. This is like proper flooring. Um, and as he kind of gently guides the last person out of the church, if you wanted to lift them up and take a look, you could.
I'll just
Um,
do some, arf, and I'll do like the dog thing,
Yeah,
digging
digging
at a
below.
spot, but there's nothing to dig.
Yeah, you definitely smell them.
Say to Angel, fall down a well.
But yeah, Frank, do you want to open up the floor? It's clear, or do you want to just call that a decent enough indication?
Wait, like
It
would
looks
I
like
be
he
able
basically placed the floorboards back down and kind of like tried to push the nails back where they were supposed to go, but they're not really secure.
to?
So you
Okay.
could just lift them out.
Yeah. I'm going to do. Yeah, I want like people like hearing me though. So should I do like a stealth check on it? Like
Well,
when I
there's
pick it
just
up?
well, that's the thing. The only people left in the as
Alright.
the priest has shoot everybody out know what you're doing. So it's him, Irina, and the party, and that's it. Everybody else is out of the room.
Okay.
So yeah, unless you're gonna like grunt loudly and throw boards, I don't think you need to make a stealth check. It's
Okay.
one of those
Right.
things where like I don't want you to think I don't want you to, but as a DM, I sometimes won't ask for because it doesn't make sense for you to nat one and then knock over the altar thing. You can handle the board without making a huge ruckus. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I'll just open it up, see if I could see anything in there.
Sure. So yeah, you kind of have to remove a few, and you see that below the floor, it drops down perhaps like 4 feet or so. There is a small, maybe like, I don't know, 8 by 8 area that has been properly stoneworked. So like there's a proper stone floor and stone in this little section. And down in dust that had settled here, you can see two like particularly sizable, not like, I'm not talking about like a giant, but like not a small child's footprint, not a heeled boot, like, is fashionable, including Irina, short heels, good for horseback riding. But like a good solid flat boot. There's boot prints like somebody hopped down, and then like somebody used their foot to kick or shove the lid of the sarcophagus. Is resting at like a 45 degree. The actual coffin. And yeah, within there are signs of just having basically like armfuls of bones, not particularly gently or carefully, and presumably put them into a bag or something. If there was anything of value beyond the skeleton in here, I'm afraid you don't find it. But there are a few very, very faded remnants of what you would presume to be that same blue robe that is visible in the painting above on the wall. And Ayakobachi, as he does this, you're able to like stick your head in the hole and get a proper smell of it. And first of all, dust, so dog sneezes. But you definitely pick up, yes, how do I translate
A smelly
dog
smell.
senses?
A smelly smell.
Probably a
Smelly.
masculine scent, just due to not being a bunch of like perfume, mostly just like sweat, but also dirt, despite there not being any dirt down here. And the smell of fresh cut greenery as well.
Cool. Is there any
So
way
yes.
I could follow this scent and try to see if I can like track it, or is it kind
Uh,
of faded outside of this little area?
so it's strongest down here because the lid was kind of put back on this whole thing, not on the sarcophagus itself, but like
Mhm.
the boards were put back down and it kind of trapped everything. But as you kind of like poke your head back up out of the hole, that smell lingers in a couple spots. Mostly next to the altar and kind of behind the altar, but you pick it up all over the room. And as you kind of follow it, I mean, would lead outside. I think Father Lucian probably watches this man who transformed into a dog with a little bit of trepidation. That's not a common parlor trick. But still fairly good poker face. But he would look to you as like snuffling. What is he doing? Kind of look.
Sniffing for clues.
I see. Um.
Told you they were
Well,
very good at tracking things.
I suppose perhaps I had underestimated what you had said. Yes. Being able to be a hunting dog seemed like a useful talent in that regard. Um, yeah, the trail leads outside Ayakobachi.
As I walk by
It's-
the priest, I'll stop my sniffing and I'll sit as like a good boy, and kind of just wait.
Um, you see him go, um, and reach down and pat you on the head kind of anxiously.
And then I'll just wag my tail and I'll go back to sniffing.
Okay.
Actually, just Zaki's banished a few and called him good boy and get pat. He just wants somebody to love him. We're actually in his magical forest the whole time.
Welcome to the magical piss forest. Home of the wizard. Yeah, if Mike knows that comic. I don't know if the other three of you do, but
That's why I called it his magical forest.
um
I just
but
didn't want to call it the piss forest.
oh, what can I say? Come on, keyboard.
Yeah, I'll wait for the party, but I'll try to keep my nose on the trail if I can. I don't know what everyone else
Fair
wants
enough.
to do.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. It leads outside. So it's down to whether or not people want to follow. Here's context, by the way.
That's what the wizard is. Got it.
Yes.
I'm pissed.
Mhm. But yes. God damn it. It just
What's that for follow up?
die. Yes.
Just let him die.
I like how they gave the flower 5 o'clock shadow. It's
Right.
so
Narla, get one of those petals today, bro.
Truly
I
cursed.
did. It's
It's such a
tasty.
good, like we've all been exposed to that. Oh yeah, look, communion wafers as a snack. Haha, funny. But the fact that it's a plant puts such a spin on that it's fucking hilarious.
You know.
Irving will follow the party bloodhound.
Okay. I assume
He's all business
you'll
right now.
take a moment and just like put the boards back down, all of you. Relmir, did you get everything you wanted to check?
I would say so. I just grabbed like the blue cloth. That was
Just a
over
little scrap
here.
of it. Yeah.
I
So
think we got a how
again,
done it, a who done it. Now we gotta find out the why done it. You too can solve a murder mystery in 2 simple skill checks.
That's true.
Gotta
yeah,
have those
well,
hot toys.
I was gonna say, turns out when you have a 28 and a 20 combined investigation roll, get it. So yeah, as you kind of head towards the front door and somebody with thumb opens it for you,
It's fucked up.
you would find that out front, while the younger children seem to have gone, Milivoy is out there still actually digging a fresh grave, um, as seems to be one of his duties. And actually, I think he has. Does he have art? He does. It's not particularly exciting or interesting, but there you go.
Pretty standard
Um,
looking dude.
yes. But, he is steadily working with the shovel. Seems very, very, um, practiced at this, not at all pausing. And you can very rapidly tell that's the scent that you recognize Ayakobachi as him, like, having worked up a sweat. You can smell him from here. He's probably 40 feet away.
I'll do
But
the hound
smells
dog
familiar.
point thing with my foot up, my tail out, and my nose towards him.
Which I suppose leaves the question of how do the other three of you want to handle this situation? As he's working with his back to you.
Irving probably muttering, "Oh shit," out from under his breath. My immediate thought is get the father and have him deal with it. That seems more up his purview. But I also don't want to make you RP with yourself.
Well, that's fair. Um, it's. I mean, you could have him sit in a private manner as well. You could question him. But you could also just ask him. You would see, though, that given that it is now like starting to be dark, it's about an hour later than when you guys came in. Irina hesitates heading outside into the dark. And I think that Father Lucian would kind of hang back with her, kind of in the entryway of the church, in the light. He doesn't seem afraid to cross the threshold, but he senses her trepidation and will keep her company.
Are we in eyesight?
Yeah. Like, I mean, you can see it on the map. Basically, he is out in the churchyard off to the side, but like there is a little gate that leads in there from the front. You can see him right there. They can see you if you were to go around the side. They might have to lean, but you would not be cutting off vision of anybody.
Should we just invite him into the church for questioning?
You could. But I don't know if the priest has put all this together yet. You guys cased the scene. Just
I think that's what Irvir does want to do is let the father know. Uh, and he'd probably ask Ralmir too if what he was able to pick up because he just really found Yakobachi's nose.
right.
But it looked like Ralmir probably picked up some shit during his investigation, considering how close that magnifying glass was to his face.
It's true. It was right up there.
So I guess quietly to the party, not talking to Milivoy or the father, put some of those pieces together. Um, so Jacobachi clearly has tracked a scent to Milivoy that would be absolutely devastating to Father Lucian. I don't even know if he'll believe it. Raw meter, were you able to deduce anything that would give us some ammunition as we try to have what could be a difficult conversation?
Just just like pull up just like the blue cloth that I found. I didn't really see.
Did you take it?
He did. He took a couple fibers. It sounded like.
Okay. I was like, what the fuck?
No, I didn't take like the whole thing off though.
Okay.
Borrowing it.
Damn, bro, that's so cold blooded, dude.
Steal the robe of a saint right in front of a priest. But yeah, and again, you'd found signs that basically the boards were pried up with a shovel.
And it was someone strong that
Not
did
a
it.
crowbar, and it was someone strong and somebody wearing big, heavy work boots, just like Milivoy is wearing.
Oh, it's up there would be him.
Can you guys keep an eye on him for a moment? I think it's probably wise to give the father a heads up before we do anything else.
Yeah.
Oh, like his big ass will be ready to brace someone if he has to.
I mean, he doesn't. He's doing his job. He doesn't look like he knows that we're onto his ass.
No, yeah, he's just out there working. He has no idea this conversation. But yeah, you step to the father.
Yeah.
He would just kind of give you a questioning look.
I have some unfortunate news. My companions were very successful in their investigation, and we have our prime suspect already. Unfortunately, we believe it is more than likely Milivoy.
And rather than some big, exclamation of surprise or
Dun, dun,
denial,
dun.
he actually just we are constantly challenged, are we not? He says, looking up at the sky briefly. I feared that might be the case, but I didn't want to believe it.
I can understand the reluctance.
He is a troubled boy. Lost both of his parents very young. And no thanks to the actions of the Burgomaster's men, and he is rather quick to voice his displeasure with the way that the town has been run. I don't know why he would take out that anger on us, though. And there's like genuine sorrow on his face at this revelation that you've seen, uh, proof that it is what he feared it was.
I would guess he's been put up to it by someone else.
I can only hope so.
Is this like something like by what he was saying, like do like a religion check on that, or
You could, I suppose,
see
but I don't.
to see if like
Go ahead.
yeah, just to see if like there is like just more of a connection between.
Hmm. I don't know if you have information to know more.
Okay.
This is a certain. You're talking about a connection between him and the Birchmaster,
Or like
or
him just like falling to like darker influences.
okay. Um.
That's what I was mainly putting the pieces of that together with the religion check.
All right, I'll give you that. It's going to be a reasonable see any like real information, but you might be able to get a bit of a hunch off of it. Go ahead. 19. Damn, look at you rolling
Ooh.
good. So you clock a couple things. Well, it's not in his art, I don't believe. Hold up again. Um, yeah, you would see that again. He's clearly like a burly lad, but he does wear a holy symbol and is not like wearing any outward embellishments that might lead you to think he's not actually a devout follower of the Morning Lord. Now, whether or not that extends to uh, true belief or not, hard to say. But he does wear a little wooden holy symbol around his neck. Um, but well, you yourself have been in some tight situations in the past, I presume, based on your backstory. And you know that sometimes you have to make choices that you don't necessarily fully agree with in order to grant yourself another opportunity. And that's what this reads like to you. Somebody promised him something in exchange,
Uh,
and maybe he thought it might be better to take that trade, even if he's betraying what he's been given here.
see.
Uh, you know, he's young, probably didn't think it through too hard.
In Barovia, some sweet words will probably get you pretty damn far too.
Exactly. Life kinda sucks here. So if there's a promise of something better, well, you probably chomp at that bit.
Okay. So it's had me kind of curious though. So, are they gonna like bring him in for like questioning, or are they just gonna straight just arrest them?
We're getting there. We don't know yet.
Your
Hmm.
choice. You are the
Which
talky
Ruvio
one,
will
in
probably
theory.
ask
True,
the
because
father.
there is something I want to ask him.
The
To
priest or Milivoy?
Melboy.
Okay.
We have not formally accused him of anything yet.
Right.
Right. That's why
You
I'm
put the
like, I'm
pieces
definitely
together, but he doesn't know that.
Yeah.
like it's like a way out there.
Or Ruvio probably just asked the priest if there's a particular way he'd like us to handle this, or if we can operate to our own discretion as kindly as we can.
And that would be the key. Yes, as kindly as possible, please. And I would prefer the town guard not get involved, not just because even if he has wronged Saint Andrel herself and also the congregation here, I don't wish to see him sent to the re-education camp. And for that matter, I don't wish for anybody to find out that the bones were taken. Subtlety would be preferred.
Ideally, he has many years to straighten himself out before he meets Lord Kellenfor. I would not deny him that right or that opportunity.
Mhm. Very well. I leave it to your discretion then.
Right. This reveal tell the party. All right, boys. It's up to us what we do now. Probably
Narlock
friendly
puts his
chat,
fists
right?
together.
Norla goes for the RKO.
Oh my god, he found
Out of nowhere!
Jump off a gravestone.
Narla can't spider climb.
But yeah, what did you want to say, Romer? He's,
Well,
a couple
just
feet, like
yeah,
30
just
feet away.
If you want to
Or-
take lead, Romir, we'll back you up.
yeah, just to ask him like any influences on why he did all the stuff that he did too, like.
So you're gonna
Jumping a lot
accuse
of
him.
guns.
Yeah,
But it's like
'cause-
I want to hold off on that. So what that is, what I'm gonna try to ask him
I
eventually,
see.
though.
Okay.
But that was
Endgame.
like my main plan. Like after, unless you guys got a plan to help him spill the beans.
I was probably just going to be pretty straightforward about it.
Yeah,
Treat
I can
him
do that.
more like a lost sheep than a criminal.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, when I would be asking him stuff though, it would be more, not really like an accusation or kind of thing. Not trying to get him like arrested though, just more of a curiosity kind of thing.
Okay. Well, I will leave it to all of you as to how you broach the initial subject, because if you do just straight up go, so why'd you take him? Like,
Yeah, that's
you could do
too
that,
much bad cop up front.
Yeah,
but
no, we got ease into doing stuff like that.
okay. I'm the NPCs.
Well,
I don't want
yeah.
to take the first step for.
Well,
I'm a dog, so I'm just gonna go up
no
as
one else
nicely.
has.
I'll be the good cop, and I'll walk up very nicely.
Ah,
Yeah, get his defenses down.
fair enough.
I guess I'll try to play
Gooder cop.
the soothing father, and
Narlock will be
You
the
all-
intimidation.
you all jump in. Well, if it's necessary, if it comes to that.
He's not gonna say anything or make it, but he's a big guy, and he's just gonna be standing right behind the dog.
Let's hope that he'll tell us everything we want to know of his own volition, because we can convince him it's the right thing to do.
Fair enough.
Don't ask Narlock to do any convincing.
So, I guess the dog wanders over. At which point he probably doesn't notice you right away. He's kind of in the group digging. He's looking the other direction. But after a moment or two, he'll stop and kind of wipe some sweat off of his forehead, glance down at you.
How deep's the hole?
Just a couple feet. He's digging for 6, but he's starting kind of like in layers rather than digging straight down. So, I don't know, 18 inches, size of a standard grave. But yeah, he would kind of stop and, oh, didn't hear you walk up, fellow. He kind of studies you for a moment, looking down. You must be hungry. He'll reach into his pocket and pull out just like a little piece of jerky or something, and offer it to you.
I'll say.
It's getting fed as a dog. It's the ultimate con, dude. No one can resist.
No one can resist. Dogs are cute, man.
Dog box ain't got shit on just being a dog.
Right?
It's half the part of the box. It's half the part of the con.
Goes to give him the jerky. Akabachi goes for grapple takedown. No.
Jugular.
But yeah, he'll feed you and kind of just like pat you on the head. And I assume you are all also walking up as that's happening.
Yes, Gnarlo's got heavy footsteps.
Yeah.
Boom.
To which he'll kind of start and he'll turn around and kind of shove the shovel blade first into the ground just so it like stands up. And as people walk over, he takes on like a slightly more like swaggery teenager kind of like what do you want kind of look. And well, evening. I saw all of you attending the services. Welcome to Valaki, I suppose. What is this?
It's the game plan.
God damn it.
If Romir follows all of those steps to a T,
All right, Columbo me then.
come on,
Better than you dennising this teenager.
That's
It's the implications.
okay.
Romir will bow.
He'll kind of incline his head, a little bit puzzled.
Irvir,
And
Irvir Hollowbrook, thank you for all of the work you've done for the church.
Compliment suspect. He will kind of quirk an eyebrow and look you up and down, kind of taking it out kind of religiously. Oh, what can I say? Gotta earn my keep. Father's been taking care of me since I was a kid. Might as well keep the place spick and span.
It's like the best kept place we've seen since we've been in Barovia.
those look nice.
Well, staying busy keeps me out of my head. Shrugs.
What would you say like would normally like go through your
Look at this eggplant.
Right? What do you see? Um, he kind of like you can see him go. That's kind of an odd question, but doesn't see a reason to be dishonest. Well, sometimes it's prayers, but most of the time it's just how much it bloody sucks here. I mean, sure, Valaki's great, I suppose, as far as things go. Much rather here than Barovia Village or, heaven forbid, Kresk, lost to the swamps. Oh, sorry, Berez, lost to the swamps. That's a DM mistake. Um, but I mean, he kind of looks up into the misty, shitty night sky. It's kind of like ambiently raining, just lightly. Uh, what keeps me from thinking about how miserable and trapped we all are, myself included? He says with kind
And
of like a sarcastic smile.
does seem quite difficult. I'm sure any amount of solace you can take in your day to day is of great comfort.
Uh-huh.
But that begs the question then, how would you take that from everyone else?
And you can see his body language kind of shift at that, obviously. He goes from like kind of swagger, pulling in on himself a little bit. Beg your pardon.
Reveal sigh. No, it's not too late. You can still do the right thing.
How does he react to that? He doesn't know you, old man.
I know what it's like to do what you have to do to survive. I can sympathize. I've been there.
Me too.
So, really, this doesn't have to go much further than this. We can just make things right. Everyone just admits a mistake was made. Proudly say sorry to Father Lucian, and we all move on to a better tomorrow.
You can see it, like, playing back and forth on his face, like, as he debates whether to come clean or whether to just tell you to go fuck yourself.
I'm just gonna say like it's gonna be for the good of everybody if you just go through and just be honest with the bit, and then I do persuasion.
For persuasion. 11. Okay. The DC the mod lists is intimidation, but I don't know why it can't just be persuasion. I think by default, rolling up on him squad deep is kind of inherently a potential intimidation, but you're choosing to take the polite.
And we got an Arlug there.
Yeah.
Big beefy
I mean,
Narlook.
He doesn't even know that he'll just cast Fireball at him. He just looks like he can punch him out.
that is true. And he just bloody fucking stupid ideas. If the priest had noticed. Right. Well, first of all, was it really that obvious?
Well,
The nose.
I'll sniff his boots.
we do kind of have our own bloodhound.
I fed you, he says to you like an a you betrayed me tone.
He's probably thankful for that.
For fuck's sake. And you can see like some tension actually bludgeoning him unconscious with this accusation. It's like, all right, fine. I don't have them anymore. I was. Look, right. So I was bloody pissed that the Burgomaster just insists that everything's sunshine daisies all the time. You all gotta be so fucking happy. What, for his benefit? He shakes his head. I caught wind of, well, someone who'd be willing to pay for any unusual remains. And I thought, sure, it'll get me enough coin, get out of this shithole. And it did. Only problems, there's no way past the... Shakes his head. Stupid. Stupid idea. I gave
No one
him...
can blame you for wanting more. You made a mistake. It happens.
I gave him to Henrik van der Voort, the owner of the local coffin shop.
Henrik
Van der Voort.
Vandover.
I'll just type it. Give me 1 second. Van der Voort. Voort. Yeah, it's a local coffin maker.
The Undertaker.
Owns a shop on the east side of town, sold it by the Airsex stockyard. It's pretty hard to miss. Coffins piled out front.
Makes
You
sense
can,
that the coffin maker would want this.
mm-hmm. you gonna make me give back the gold too?
Honestly, no. But if you tell us how much you paid, then we might have an idea of maybe we can buy it back.
Right. Well, he wanted to give me 70 gold pieces. I told him that that seemed awful cheap for the bones belonged to, and he ended up giving me 105. That's a
So-
lot of money for the record.
It's like a year's
Like,
worth.
yeah,
Probably 5 years worth. No, 2 years
5
worth.
years
Probably.
for a peasant,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah. Right.
Um,
Maybe you could find a way to use some of that money to enrich the lives of some of the parishioners, perhaps, or find a good use for it. Because I don't even know how you would use all of that money yourself without being able to leave the mists.
and at that, like, you can see he looks really ashamed. And you're right. It'll find its way into the alms box a bit at a time.
Gnarl will go nudge
Promise.
Lawmere. Don't you got one of those boxes?
Oh no!
I'm thinking about it. I've been thinking about this whole time. As soon as I was like, how am I gonna go about this?
Oh jeez.
Yep. Just like Zach's a dog right now.
So are you gonna go for it?
Oh.
Yeah, I'm gonna do my biggest set of puppy eyes, and just whatever
Yeah.
Raumer does, I'll try to do my best attempt at a help action with my puppy eyes and
Oh,
my.
the dog con is so evil.
You're next to her there. Take disadvantage.
It evens out.
Go about
Kirby's gonna bop you on the snoot with a rolled newspaper. Totally down.
That's all this guy does have, though. So
But what that does mean is Henrik himself must have
yeah, we
quite
could.
some wealth himself.
It's like
Uh-huh.
why give
That's
you like
again, that's a lot of money. This guy makes coffins.
He coffins for
Not-
peasants that keel over and
I
fucking
mean,
die.
you're
Yes.
talking about getting like a piece of jerky.
And
versus
business
steak.
is good. Business is
And like
booming.
for like reference, I think a coffin costs like a couple silver pieces if it's a nice one, and maybe like a silver if it's a cheap pine box to bury someone in. You'd have to sell a lot of to be
It
comfortable
seems like
giving
there's a
away
lot of
100 gold.
seems like there's a lot of death in this area, though.
Boy's got a benefactor. Ain't no way he's pulling that gold on his own. So we're uncovering a conspiracy.
That's what I was thinking when I'm a dog.
Yeah, a dog conspiracy.
Roll
Where'd the
Raggy.
ball go when he threw it, and I couldn't find it?
God damn it. Where did the ball go?
The Illuminati.
But yeah.
So what do we do
Right.
with Miller Boy?
You could tell he's like he feels like he got off way too light. But he has agreed to give the money back. To the church instead of
You
keeping
don't have
it
to
for
give it
himself.
all back. I mean,
Well,
you can have a beer or two,
Sure.
Get some
No,
blows
I
and
know
hook.
that
You
I
know,
was-
some hookers and
I mean-
blow.
Don't have to live in pure poverty. We're not monks over here, but give a little something back.
It's called haste powder.
The haste powder.
Could do so many actions.
Yeah, I think he would kind of look to you pleadingly, Irvir, and did you tell Father Lucian?
I did. I asked him how he'd want to handle this before I came to you, and he agreed with me that we should handle it with kindness and grace. I think if you apologize,
He doesn't know about
while
the
he's
money.
disappointed, he'll understand and probably be over the moon that you came clean.
You can see him like nodding multiple times and right, right. Oh,
Because it
that's
means all
gonna
is not lost.
be a miserable conversation, but you're right. You're right.
Having that conversation is your actual penance.
Mm, mm. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I yeah, sorry. I know it's like I'm just trying to act like I feel like would be
Like a
reasonable for
dumbass kid.
this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I'll do what I can to make it right with with the father and with everybody else who trusts the church with their safety. Um, th thank you for not just turning me over to the guard.
And Irvi will give him a firm clap on the shoulder.
Hmm.
No problem, my boy. Thank you for realizing all is not lost. And that there is always a way forward.
It's well, it's a hard thing to believe, but honestly, moments like this, well, sometimes they make it a little easier. Thanks for
I think there will be more to come.
yeah, just thanks. And
Irvi will nod.
yeah,
Head
he's
back
like
towards the father, I guess.
super awkward and like he watches you head back over there and makes to like eye contact with the grave again. Pointedly goes back to work at a faster occasionally like sneaking a glance over his shoulder. But yeah, you inform the father, um, and just to kind of forward things along. He would be thankful for handling it greatly. Are you telling him about the money or the reason? I suppose.
I think the reason would be fair.
Okay.
Be like, hey, the father had an idea anyway. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, shit sucks at Barovia. Someone told him that maybe it
Yep.
doesn't have to suck. Which is pretty much weird on what we had already discussed.
Mm-hmm. And he'd tell you, I can't fault the boy. He's right. It's well, it's a difficult place to live. Um, but I'm glad you were able to bring it to a non-violent resolution.
So far,
So far, yes.
we now have to investigate an undertaker that has a suspicious amount of wealth.
And he's a bit of an unpleasant man. I would caution you to be careful in your dealing with him. Especially if he does have some sort of, well, backing. I don't think that's the kind of money he would be able to throw around if it were purely out of his own profits.
He
And
definitely has backing from someone.
at that thought, you would note him, like several people you've seen in Barovia do, cast a glance eastward towards the castle, with a bit of a concerned look on his face.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if it's him who walked.
Are we inside the church again with the priest, or were we all standing outside?
Kind of right out front. I was thinking like on the front steps.
I'll just be a dog.
You could go inside, turn back, and then come back out.
Yeah, but I wanted to do something kind of silly.
Fair.
Do not pee on the altar.
No, I was gonna be on the altar. I was gonna do like a dog handshake, and then
Oh.
transform mid handshake. I just don't want everyone to see me doing it. So
I
to
mean,
speak.
it is
I'll
dark.
still do.
Yeah.
I'll still do it. Give him a dog handshake.
Okay, fair enough. He would take your dog handshake, and he still seems like very puzzled by this whole dog thing, but offer you a little nod. Thank you all for your assistance. For now, and he would kind of look to Irina, and despite the, well, current state of the Father Lucian has offered me a place to stay here, and while I know there is already room at the Blue Water ready for me, I think perhaps I might sleep better here. Today's close encounter rattled me perhaps more than initially to admit. Hallowed ground or not, this is still a holy place. And I believe it should offer some measure of protection at least. But you can see she's sort of waiting for your approval. You have been tasked with guarding her.
Yeah, I was just wondering, like, is there something I can roll where I think like that's actually like a viable solution? Because we know that the Blue Water Inn is a private residence,
Yes,
whereas I don't think the church would be. So like the permission thing probably wouldn't apply.
that's probably correct. You could bring that up to her.
But we also have a conversation where it's like, yeah, they know that it's, or rather, the Strahd doesn't necessarily know that it's not hollowed right now. Still away
Correct.
so far. It's been only 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
And as far as it seemed like Father Lucian said, no sign of any, um, incursion or anything in that time. No reason for them to have any idea that it was not hallowed.
I think what it's actually going to come down to is Uber will probably offer to stay too.
Okay.
Seems like the simplest solution.
I can certainly offer you a bed in the dormitory. I'm afraid there will be children everywhere, but you are welcome to stay beneath our roof as well. Or if you are devoted to guarding Miss Kolyana, I suppose a bedroll anywhere you see fit.
However best I can fulfill my duty without making her unduly uncomfortable.
She would consider this. Well, as I suppose one of my guardians, I leave the choice up to you. I'm certainly not threatened by your presence, but perhaps as long as it's not the same bed, she says, like trying to get back a little bit of her previous, or jovial personality there, and just kind of smiles.
A lady should have her privacy. Unfortunately, it's some interesting times right now. So I'll do my best to oblige.
She would nod. And again, she knows you're a priest, so you're not
Yeah, but
skeeving her out, but yes.
we discussed I'm not celibate, so like
Still. I guess what I'm saying is she assumes you have more.
Yes, he has moral integrity.
But yeah,
Integrity.
it's up to you. Would you like put a bedroll down outside the door, inside the door, but like giving her space? Be like a 10 by 10 room, probably.
Probably inside.
Okay.
On the
You can
opposite
always,
wall.
as I say, turn over on your, for propriety's sake or whatever.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And yeah, we are kind of winding down to the end of the day here. Which is a good spot to kind of wrap things up. Would the other three of you then head back to the Blue Hour where you have a room at the inn?
Yes, because then we also got a couple people to talk to there.
That is true. Um,
Or everyone breaks up for the night too. Irby will definitely want to gather the party in some private room.
and have a sit down.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Well, in
split
that
up.
case, then we're close to where I normally want to wrap for the day, and I think that'll be kind of a longer conversation.
Maybe.
You want to,
I don't know. We'll pitch it and see how it goes.
We could always,
Fair enough.
message in Discord to finish off any ideas if we need to.
Go ahead then.
But so Irby will want to address a party and be like, guys, I think we need to actually talk and figure some things out here. We all just kind of haphazardly ended up here and feel like I've just kind of been stringing everyone along. I don't know what everyone wants to do here, but I'm very appreciative of the fact that everyone's been so helpful and kind to the inhabitants of this desolate region. And I understand if people want to go their own way and deal with this and however they want to, but I would like to ask for everyone's help because I don't think I can do everything I want to on my own. There's a lot I would like to do for these people. More importantly, I would like to see the Double Dead for good.
I'll unshape from a dog, and I'll look at the
Are you
group.
gonna grace us with your presence?
Yeah, so I can talk to you. And I'll first march and be like, of all the game I've ever hunted, that prey was the easiest of them all. Where would you stay at the scene of the crimes? What a foolish child. Well, more importantly,
That was good work, Yakobachi. I
Thank
can't
you.
deny that.
Thank you, blessed Malar. And I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't even know of this place if it wasn't for Ralmir helping me find where Ezek even was. And of course, I'm still on my hunt to find Ezek, but not all hunts are as simple as finding prey. Sometimes prey could be information or maybe an overall task. And I don't mind helping you. I don't think I can get Ezek and fight him alone without any of your help. So I'm willing to help all of you if you're willing to help me when the time is right.
He's the bastard everyone's been making him out to be. He might have to get forwarded to management. So I can understand that.
Rami, I'm indebted to you for you helping me. So what do you want to do?
I didn't really have any plans or goals for the future. It was kind of just going my own pace, so wasn't really thinking too far ahead. And then all this shit happened.
Well, it's likely to get incredibly dangerous from here on out.
Yeah, that's fun.
Can't be more dangerous than a band of orcs.
That's true.
You'd be surprised.
And he did take the woman that served me a beer, so we should probably help her.
At least we can all agree that we should help Bev.
Yep.
Truly our guiding light.
Yes, we should. And I mean, if we come across a brothel on the way, I'm sure Narlag won't mind.
Yeah, I do got 10 gold in my pocket still for that.
Everyone's happy. But I do like
I can't go
danger.
back to my clan unless I complete that task.
The best hunts are the most dangerous.
I feel like I can rarely ever get a beat on any of you. I still have no idea what Romir's thinking at any given moment. At least I have a good idea of what Narlug and Yakubachi think. But Yakubachi, if I may pitch this to you,
Yes.
you seem to be all about the hunt. You've made some questionable comments. Could I persuade you that there's always powerful game to be hunted, but you can also select those targets whose elimination may make the world a much better, safer place for those not joining your hunt.
Yeah, you know what?
It's when you make a predator become the prey. Is that not the ultimate hunt? Why would you hunt a rabbit when you could hunt a bear?
Well, for the same reason, it's just your place in nature, if you will. You hunt what you're allowed to, and that's exactly the way of Malah. You hunt prey to get stronger, to then go and find stronger prey. In fact, I've even learned you can use weaker prey to lure out stronger prey, and catch them off guard and make them think, they have the advantage. So,
You could
uh,
do that, and there may be situations where that's
and if the prey that we hunt, whether it be a mighty predator, aligns with the moral code of other gods, well, that may just be a convenience. But all in
kind of
all,
what I'm getting at.
when it comes down to it, it is survival of the fittest and the winnowing
If
of the
you
weak.
had a hunt a rabbit to survive, I could understand that. But not for sport. Not because you felt like it.
No, no, that is silly. Now, unless I became like a cat and then hunted mice, that's fair game. But that's just it's different.
Please do not become a cougar and maul the townsfolk.
Cougars more like the antelope and running fast things like that. And unless you find yourselves in their den or in their area, then maybe you might get yourself in a pickle. That's like when you put a cucumber in. I won't get into it.
My point being that I have no way to contact the Doom Guides from here. I would love to call in backup. I think we're it. There's almost zero chance that Vistani would take a message for me, right? And then also send in a contingent of paladins for me. Zero shot.
I mean, I could be awfully.
They don't seem like they like the law too much.
I'm pretty sure they're operating under their own rules. Was that wrong?
I mean, we could just try to just persuade them to let you do all that stuff.
We could try. Although, considering it's their fault we're here in the first place, I wouldn't put a lot of stock in that, and that may also show our hand a little too early.
That's true.
Bet you
See,
that
the way
castle's got some sweet books.
there's a little
Almost certainly.
the way all of those wolves seem to ignore everybody else at the first sign of divine magic. So I'd probably like to keep that somewhat under wraps from our enemies. Now, discerning who our enemies are is an entirely different topic that I'm not sure how to broach, but so far we seem to have at least made a good bit of allies.
Mm-hmm.
Narlug, I get the sense you're just kind of here, but
I'm seeking knowledge.
you
And
are.
brothels.
And I would. You don't strike me as a bad guy. And I wouldn't mind
I'm new to the ways of humans. I'm
helping
learning.
you fit into society, learning some of the rules, so that you can live as you see fit within the laws of mortal society. Which are
That's not
very
too.
different from orcish warbands. Very different.
Just a tad. Definitely a lot less
Yeah.
violence.
And if we happen to make it all out, I would be more than happy to even personally escort you to the Temple of Bone our primary place of worship, where we will have archives upon archives of as much as you could ever wish to read.
Ooh.
As well
And Narla
as
gets a little chubby from that.
Temple of Bone, you say?
as well as several major cities and ports that would be on the way. So at the very least, it sounds like we're all in agreement. Strahd needs to die. And I'd like to offer as much succor to these people as we can. In whatever form that may be.
To defeat him would be quite a mighty hunt. I'm in. I put my hand in the middle.
Narla confused by this. They'll just do it too, following the lead.
Okay,
Fuck
I
it.
guess I'll put my hand in.
My people tend to do war cries, but this will work.
Irby will say fucking put his hand in. I appreciate all of you.
May our hunts be
Narla
bountiful.
appreciates new friends.
May our hunts be bountiful, and our enemies' blood please Malar, as it soaks into the ground.
Gotta love having an unhinged companion.
As long as it's Strahd's blood, I'm okay with that.
Oh, there'll be more enemies along the way, like
Yeah,
Undertaker.
as long as they have blood. And out of character, I'm totally down. I don't know if you guys want to just walk up and be nice to the guy, but I'm totally down to like sneaking in there and maybe like seeing it and if we can learn anything or find anything before we just, maybe we could just like surprise him and then he'll just give us the information we want instead of having to. We could persuade him too.
Right, he sounds like a bastard, so I don't
Yeah.
think reasoning with him is going to work too well.
Yeah, fuck this guy.
But if we just kill him, maybe we get some good information before we do that.
Well, also, it would be in town, and drawing weapons is strictly forbidden, so
Yeah,
we
but
have to be careful how we play.
if he's
it,
got
'cause
a
we don't
bunch
wanna
of,
get kicked out.
if he has a bunch of bite marks when he's mauled by an animal, and we're like, crazy. He's got his jugular ripped out. He's got a bunch of bite marks on him. I don't have.
That's on you
fangs.
guards. You guards let a wolf in here.
I don't know
dude.
what happened. We just came in and he was dead.
That's
I
hard.
thought these gates were
You're
impenetrable.
covered in his blood. This no. This is someone else's blood.
No,
Well, I mean,
This is some other guy's blood. This is my blood.
some other guy's blood from outside of town. Don't worry
Yeah.
about it. You don't know.
I have weapons of the
He
mind.
goes
I
to
don't
a
even have to
different
touch.
He
school.
goes to a different school. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I'm down to sneak up on him.
so does his shop? Does he live at the shop too?
He said the east side, so somewhere over here.
So yeah, over. So specifically, I didn't tell you. It's
I
like
don't know if
actually next to the Airsex document.
Gotcha. I could say though, like we could like set things up though, like so like like an accident can happen.
Oops.
That's true.
Coffin fell on his head. It's crazy.
So let me double
So
check.
we
I
need some
think
information from him before he dies.
Yeah.
I think it might literally be the small building behind that.
I think I can prepare a spell now that lets you mimic death. I think that's a second level spell.
Fane.
Yeah, I think Feign Death might be third.
Not feign death. Something else.
There's a lot of weird death ones.
I kind of want to scope this guy out real quick though, or see like the different people that like would come to like talk to him too though, because
So, it is the middle of the night, so
Right. I mean.
Yeah.
We could plan. We could get some plans together.
Right, because I could shapeshift into something else now, since we got the third level.
So disguise self, which is what you get access to, right?
Yeah.
Still requires you to be humanoid, just so you know.
Right.
Human.
I was trying to pass myself along.
You could even look like the kid that we just talked to, and then go in there acting like you're him, trying to get information that only he would tell him because they're both knowing of what's
That
going
is
on.
true.
You could even mimic his
Yeah.
voice because you got that there mastermind shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is also true.
Was feign death. I was thinking of fuck. That's third level spell.
That'd be cool.
Or you just go and be like, yeah, we're adventurers. We're probably gonna die. Wanted to pick some shit out before that happened.
Wanted to buy the coffin
Wanna
in his
reserve some.
But being like, I was a famous adventurer outside the mist. I only deserve the best, so I gotta make sure my eternal resting place is up to my standards.
Also, real quick, I have to point out that at some point in that conversation, you're talking about, I think you said directly, like, I think we could all agree that we all want to save Bev. And Narlag was like, yeah, she was nice to me. She served me a drink. And my brain immediately went, all right, so 30 sessions down the line, you're in the castle, you're saving Bev, and Narlug walks up to her with a big smile on his face and clubs her over the head to drag her back to his bed, just like Dorks told him to.
You come back to my hut now.
Yes.
I'm rescuing you.
Bonk, and now
Do
you are
not
my
resent.
wife. That'll
there, I imagine
conditioning
we
runs deep. Yes, go your
go on
separate
to our
ways for
long
the
rest.
evening.
Yeah.
Yes.
For sure.
And yes, another night begins in Barovia. It is reasonably safe and reasonably quiet here, at least as far as you've found. But outside the walls, the mist waits and watches, and we will pick up there next time.
Hell yeah.
Um,
Save these notes.
let's see. Next Monday, I should be good. Is everybody good for next Monday?
Yeah.
Sorry, starting that
I
event.
assume so.
All right.
Anything changes, I'll let you know. But it should be good though.
Sure, I'll throw out a ping.
And then we're shooting for the
Sarah?
10th for Fandelver. I don't know if you're able
Yeah.
to do it, Frank. You said no, or you're busy on the 3rd, right?
I might be okay.
No, he's busy on the 2nd.
Yeah, I mixed that
He
up. But I
fucked
think
that
I am.
up.
I did. Actually, I think I am good on Thursday.
Well, then let me send that to Nathan because he said he was good, I think.
Yeah.
Dave, are you good on the 3rd?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
You gotta see if this washer was actually able to get all that mud out.
Yeah, I'm waiting for all my shit to like dry off though, so I could like kind of just like pick it off though before.
I took outside and hosed it.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna do that sometime soon. Them pants are covered in mud.
Dude, I just threw the shirts out. But pants and shoes got washed.
No more cliff shirt.
No more cliff shirt, dude. I didn't want to take the time to clean that son of a bitch.
It did get completely soaked.
That was completely covered.
Oh yeah, you fucking.
Not a speck of red on that bitch.
Oh, you fucking. How many times did you like
At
face
least 3 or
planted?
4.
And then then there was like the last time you were just willing, you just slid down it. You like dove.